Hello, hello, hello. Welcome back to a Fresh Story podcast. This season, we are diving in to family stories, how you built your family, how you created your family, how families came to be. And today, I'm going to hand the mic over the ocean here to my sister to be top host. Well, we were co-hosts, but you know,
top host.
Top host. You're gonna produce.
Can you pronounce that with a ph? So it's a top host.
Top host. Top host.
Top host.
Handing the mic over.
I just saw a pit spoiler. Is that appropriate to tell you?
Oh no!
Yeah,
I'm too behind.
Meech.
I'm too behind.
We love Meech, but come on, Meech.
I'm too behind. Don't tell me. I'm halfway through the new White Lotus, so that's not what we're here to talk about today.
By 2026, you'll finish the season.
No,
that's not what we're here to talk about today. But here we go.
Okay.
Hello, Olivia. Thank you so much for being with us today.
I had no choice, but you're welcome.
You scheduled it.
I scheduled it. I'm the producer.
You're the producer. So can you share your family story with us and who the members of your family are?
Sure. Well, there's, I think, ways to break this down. So I guess my nuclear family is me and my two sons.
Yep.
But I think because I'm the oldest sibling, I will never not think of my nuclear family as my siblings also.
Wow. So you're going to one up me? Because we just recorded my episode and I did not say that.
It's fine. It's fine. Well, I also think because I live at home with our parents.
Yeah,
and so,
but the question is, how did you build your family?
Okay, so I built my family through a reproductive method one may know as making a child twice. So if we go back, 2009,
yeah,
I met a person on Match.com, and he was in Connecticut, and I was on Long Island. And if you know me, you know I don't really like to leave my house much, nor do I like to drive far distances.
Mm-mm.
And
you had just gotten your license too.
Yeah, I had just had my first car, the Honda CRV that was blue. And so I went on Match.com, and this was back when Match.com was like internet, website only. And Match.com matched us over the Long Island Sound.
Yeah, didn't understand water.
Didn't understand water. Thank you so much, Match.com. And so matched us. He was in Connecticut. Long story short, 3 months later, we moved in together, which was insane. And by the way, I was on a podcast the other day and I said that, and the host, who was like a pretty well-known host, was like, "What?" And I was like, yeah I know.
Yeah.
And then
and he was commuting from Long Island to Connecticut.
I thought was love. It was a sign of love.
Looked so romantic.
So romantic.
Yeah.
And so
complicated.
It's complicated. And so we got engaged in 2010. We got married in 2011.
We got together in August of 2009. You got engaged in
August of 2010.
August of 2010.
We got married in June of 2011.
Yep.
And then I always knew I wanted to have kids. It's funny. I was lying in bed this morning thinking about, like, would I do it over again? Like, would I have kids over again?
Yeah.
And I don't think that my brain can compute that, because I've always just known I wanted to have kids. It's not really even that I wanted to be a mom. I'm going to be honest. Like, I just knew I wanted to have kids. Like, that's what I wanted in life. And so I got pregnant with my oldest son in December of 2012, right before Christmas. And I truly thought he was going to be a girl, and he was not.
I was trying to explain to somebody the other day how, like, for us, it was just, even though we understood that all men came from women, it just didn't make sense that you could have a boy. Like,
my mom used to say that too.
Yeah, I remember mom said that too.
Yeah.
But we were so excited when
you
found out.
And I mean, everybody was so excited. And it was an okay pregnancy. I had gestational diabetes, which I got really obsessive about.
It was really traumatic for you.
Threw me into postpartum depression or prepartum depression.
A depression.
It was just a depression. But we were both very excited. We had a nursery, we had the whole thing. And he came 3 weeks early. He was supposed to be September. He came in August 25th of 2013. Yep. If you want his social security number, let me know. And so he was, it was wild to become somebody's mother. And I went back to work. I was a teacher. I went back to work November of that year. And Jenny and our parents, stepdad and mom, but Jenny really was the one that was there from 7 a.m. to 4 p.m. every day with Weston. And so they have a very special
you can tell the difference between the kids and the way they relate to me, but based on that,
very different relationship. And Weston is, so much like me in so many ways, and so much like his own person in so many ways. He's loves history and mythology, and he writes, and he's so creative and artistic, and loves animation. Incredibly brilliant. I've never met somebody as smart as him. He was saying something the other night, and I was like, where did you learn this stuff? What was he doing? We were watching some game show, and he knew things. So I was like, how do you know this? I mean, he loves Jeopardy.
I do play trivia with him every night, so maybe he learned it that way. He loves
Dungeons and Dragons. He loves theater. I mean, he really I joke that he listened in while I was teaching Latin and mythology and history while I was pregnant with him, and he literally, that's what he loves, which is really wild. So then when he was 1, I stopped teaching. Well, a little bit before he was 1, I stopped teaching.
Yeah, it was like 9 months. I
left teaching and started my own marketing agency, and then it was just me and Weston pretty much all day, every day, and he was there for that ride. And then I didn't know that my marriage wasn't great, but I knew that things weren't fantastic really, but I didn't really ever consider the idea of divorce. But I did know that I wanted to have another kid.
Yeah.
And then I wanted Weston to have a brother or a sister. And so I really wanted a girl. I always thought I wanted a daughter. And I distinctly remember when we went into, it was a very, very early sonogram. I think it was earlier than most. It was because I have heart issues. And so it was maybe not even 12, maybe 12 weeks or something. And they usually can only tell the sex when it's 16 weeks or something like that. Yeah. And we went in, and it was a random, just checking the heart visit. And I remember saying to my husband at the time, if it's just generally speaking, we didn't know anything, but I said, if we're going to have a boy, I would like to try for another kid. And if it's a girl, then I'm done. And we went into the office, and the first time we went in to go see that pregnancy, they couldn't find the heartbeat.
Little crab hiding.
And the doctor was like, well, 1 in 4 pregnancies end in a miscarriage. And I was like, I just don't believe that. I don't think that's happening. I just don't. And then he used a different type of sonogram, and lo and behold, he was right there, which is very him if you know him. And so then we went to this other sonogram, and we walked in, and the tech was like, I'm a genius at telling the sex of the baby. And we were like, really? And she's like, yeah. And so she's like, you're having a boy. And I was like, I'm good. I'm done.
I was going to say, when did that click?
Literally, I remember we went from the office. By the time we walked outside, I was like, yeah, brothers are great. I'm good.
Yeah.
We're good.
I remember you're 2 and 3. You always say.
And so then, as we all know, I got divorced in 2019. I was separated, and April, coming up soon too. April's a big month for us. And then in August, my ex moved out, and then it was me and my kids. They were just 3 and just 5 when my marriage was over, and then the pandemic hit, and it was just me and my kids. And for a long time, and I homeschooled them, and for a whole year, and I worked at the same time, and we are incredibly close, probably because of that. So that is my family. But then we did move in with our mom and stepdad 3 years ago, which is
March 2022.
Yeah. Sold my house, and honestly, it's been great. We basically live upstairs, and it's kind of an apartment, and it's been, there's so many perks. I always say, if you're a single mom and you can move in with your parents or sibling or something, do it, because just having another adult there is, I mean, I still do everything, obviously, but not everything. No, I'm not going to be, I don't cook dinner. I really don't. I don't do the dishes. It's a running joke in the house.
Right.
But I do obviously everything else for my kids, but even driving them places and stuff, I have help. I don't.
I mean, even just when they were a little bit younger, you could go out and do something because there were adults at home.
And even knowing that if I have to get a medication or I have to this, it's
grocery store
or
pharmacy.
Even just a couple times that they've been super sick, having another adult in the house has been really, really awesome. So that is my family. And as my younger son, Wyatt, keeps saying, every time I ask him, do you need anything? He'll go, yeah, stepdad. So we're working on that. anybody has any leads into that one.
What were the moments that have brought you the most joy in
Honestly,
building your family?
I love just the little moments with my kids, like in their room folding clothes, watching Jeopardy or Wheel of Fortune, being silly. They're both very funny kids. My younger son Wyatt is very athletic, literally very social. And like today, for example, I told him we could play lacrosse after school, which, if you know me, is not something I do. And so, and he's doing taekwondo, and I love watching him. And it's, and this is the thing, having kids is relentless. It's exhausting. It's 24 hours a day. Like last night was the middle of the night, one of those nights. But there are moments like yesterday when I heard my younger son tell my older son that he got a stripe on his belt for taekwondo, and I heard, my older son go, "Really?" And it was like, oh, and it's just it's like those little moments just make it. And watching, we were very close to our grandparents, and so watching the relationship that they have, which it's funny because mom especially has, I think, like a second sense about when to step in and not entertain, because that's not the word, but like be the person, be like the ear. Like there are times that I get very burnt out from work and parenting and life, and both my kids love to talk, they love to tell stories, they love to tell what's going on in their mind, and she will literally sit and listen about Dungeons and Dragons for 3 hours, and so it's like,
she's a good listener.
She is, and our stepdad drives them everywhere, takes them everywhere. I mean, even Wyatt the other day was like, said something about, he goes, "Oh, I'm so glad my birthday party is not on my birthday, because Grandpa and I have to go back and get a new mitt. It's our tradition every year we go buy a baseball mitt." And I was like, "Since when?"
Yeah.
So like,
it's funny when you had Weston and he was with us, and we thought you'd keep working because you had always wanted to be a Latin teacher. And so we thought you'd stay in that job, and you loved teaching, to be fair. Like you loved it. It was a lot of other forces that pushed you out of it.
Yeah.
I remember thinking about how one day when Weston was a little bit older, there would be a whole life that he had with Mom and Pat of like going to the post office and meeting people at the deli that you didn't even know about.
Right.
And it's funny because I think, like with building most families, things don't happen exactly the way you think they're going to.
Yeah.
But they do end up coming around. Those things that you think about, they do end up coming around. And like that's a perfect example of like, this is apparently a tradition that your child has, that with your father, right? Your stepfather, that you had no idea about. Like, and I love that.
I love that too. And he has, they have special relationship with you, and they, share things with you, and like, I love, that's the part of family that I love. And I feel very honored that I could bring them into our family system, because, they, and, if all the people that they get to be close to, Leslie and, and her kids, and, obviously our dad, his granddad, and we got to go to Disney with him, and, like, it's all these amazing memories. But, so that's my
family. What does family mean to you now?
It's people that you can just be completely yourself around, I mean, I'm going to extend that even out, like, that there are friends of mine I would consider family, because they just get me, right? Like Alex is one of those people, like, and, Patrick and her kids, it's like, that's our extended family. Like that's, it's almost like, cousins instead of like friends. Like they just understand you. There's no judgment, there's absolutely no judgment, which now that I say that rules out most of our family, but
I mean, what I said was people that you can face the world with, and I feel like they're like, Jen is that person for me. Like I
consider Jen family. Jen's like a sister.
Yes, 100%. Yeah.
So
you weigh everybody on their own merits.
Yeah.
And what would you say to somebody that was maybe in your position, building a family and then rebuilding a family, or I wouldn't even say you rebuilt your family. You sort of rejiggered what was going on in the family.
I think I get this question a lot from single moms. One of my favorite parts of becoming a single mom was creating traditions with them.
Yeah.
And letting them see me as the person I always knew that I wanted them to see me as, right? The silly, dancing, funny, making up songs, getting to take them to ice cream off the cuff, things like that. Like, parenting is hard no matter what. It's going to be hard, but you can make moments that are really special and meaningful.
Yeah.
But you can't do that if the wrong person is with you,
right,
making it
right,
hard for
right.
you.
You
So,
weren't allowed to be that girl
right,
when you were in that relationship. So they get to see that now. And hopefully whoever Wyatt's next stepdad is, you know, allows you to be that person. Well,
But-
no, there's no choice. There's no hopefully.
I mean, look,
Wyatt's next stepdad has to allow you to be that person, has to love that person.
right. You know, having kids is a really, really big decision, and it's pretty. It has to become your life in a way. It just does. Like, there's really no other option.
Yeah,
that is it. You sign up for life, right? As
for
their
life.
parent for life, and you know, and you bring these kids into the lives of other people, and you know, you're responsible for that. So, yeah. But we're excited to share a lot of stories this season.
Yeah.
So please remember to rate, review, and subscribe to a Fresh Story podcast so we can keep sharing these beautiful Fresh Start family stories. Thanks for hosting today.
No problem.
Co-hosting. I mean, you are the co-host, but thanks
top
for
host.
top hosting today.